Hello, I'm Alexandra Sleator Career Accelerator, and welcome to June. Actually, in London it doesn't feel very June-like because it's absolutely pelting down with rain, so it feels more like October. So the good weather of April and May is gone, and we're all crossing our fingers that it'll come back. In any case, I guess it's good that it's raining because a lot of counties in the UK are threatened with drought otherwise. Anyway, so it's June and it's the middle of the year, and for many of you perhaps it's also the occasion of what is called the mid-year review or something along those lines. And that means you're going to have a conversation with your boss. So I'm just wondering, how do you feel about that? Are you looking forward to it? Or do you feel some amount of trepidation maybe? And even for those of you that don't have that conversation looming around your mid-year review with your boss, how well do you get on with your boss? How do you feel about this important person in your work life? Even if there is no mid-year review, I've always thought that my boss was a very important person in my work life, and in fact constantly an issue. I worked in banking, as some of you well know, for 23 years, and I remember each and every one of my bosses. So I wanted to ask you, do you trust your boss? Do you think that he or her appreciates you as they should? Do they understand you? Do they value your contribution appropriately? Can you go to this person, him or her, with your problems? Do you think that they have your best interest at heart beyond today's job? Do they care about your career development? Do you think that they will promote you if you deserve it? So those are sort of the questions that I want you to start thinking about when you think of a first assessment with your boss. What kind of relationship do you enjoy or do you not? And so in this month's series, I want to do two things. The first is today share with you a model that will help you look at your relationship with your boss in case it's strained. Or even if it's alright, but you'd like to assess it and just take a moment to pause and think about it and maybe improve it even further. Or some of you may have a boss that is in a different location and you don't have a chance to see him or her very much. And so how do you build a rapport with that very important person in your work life when he or she is not even in the same place as you? So I've devised a little model, and it's simply called BOSS. And it's a 4-part model, and I'll tell you about it in a second. In the next video on this month's series on managing your boss, I will share with you 4 types of so-called bad bosses. In fact, the inventory that I've built of bad bosses contains 14 types. So there's many opportunities out there for bosses to be bad. And we all know the statistics. The statistics say that the majority of cases, in fact the overwhelming majority of cases, we leave our job, we quit our firm because we don't get along with our bosses. So it is important to look at that core relationship in the workplace and see what we can do to make it better. Because if you like your colleagues, if you like your work content, then maybe it's time to look at your relationship with your boss rather than just, grab the phone and call the headhunters. So let's start with the first 2 steps in the model, the BOSS model. It's an acronym, and so the first letter stands for beliefs. At the first stage of the model, if you and I were working together, I'd engage you in a discussion around your beliefs. That's what the B stands for. Your beliefs around bosses in general, because we come to a relationship with this and that line manager already with some sense of what we think of authority in general, of bosses, of management. And that influences clearly how we're going to interact with that person. It's what we bring to the party, so to speak. And then of course I'll ask you, what do you think about this particular boss in your life? How he or she is different from other bosses? And why you think what you think? So that would be the B stage. At the second stage, we're looking at O, and O means other. Because in particular, if your relationship with your boss is not great, then that person can feel very other to you. and we need to start to bridge that gap a little bit. So there, I would engage you around, what kind of management style does your boss have? And there are really only 4 types. So we look to decode how your manager operates. We look to see what do others know about your boss that maybe you don't and can find out. So we look also, this is where we use the inventory of the 14 bosses type to see what kind of bad boss do you have and what does this mean. Now, before I continue with the 2 last stages of the boss model, let me just pause and quickly remind those of you that know my work already, and alert those of you who may be watching me for the first time, that as usual, for this month, I have a free offer, completely complimentary offer of a session together. And for this month's theme, the one of managing your boss, then if you feel that you'd like to take a look at your relationship with your boss and look to possibly improve it before you call the headhunters, then one of you, the first one who feels like it and grabs the offer, who emails me, will have up to 90 minutes together to look at that relationship, that core relationship in the workplace with your line manager, and we will work together through the boss model, of which I'm giving you a high-level overview today, and we'll look to see what we can do together to help sort whatever may not be working for you in that space with your line manager. So if you feel like it, I would love to help you, and I look forward to hearing from one of you at least. Anyway, let me go back then to the boss model. So the third stage rather is an S, and that stands for bus stop. Now, I'm sure that this is a little bit puzzling, it's not particularly self-evident. What do I mean by bus stop? Well, if you will, the first 2 steps of the boss model are what we call the first and the second position. At B, we've looked at your position, and at O, we've looked at your boss's position. Who are they? And so we've established a sense of who you are and who they are. And in fact, we have now started to build a view of a gap between the 2 of you. What is it that's preventing that relationship from working as well as it possibly could? And there will be issues around who you are, how you relate to people, and how indeed your boss relates himself or herself to others. So at the boss stop, we also take a pause, and we look at things dispassionately. And we look at the gap and start to think how we're going to close it. The bus stop is also an analogy, and this is what it means. If you see a person on the other side of the road, and you want them to come with you on a journey, what are you going to do? Are you going to start shouting across the street to grab their attention? And are you going to start motioning for them to come over? Is it likely that they will respond positively if they see you shouting, screaming across the street and making huge gestures with your arms? Is that going to entice them in crossing the street and coming over to you? Possibly not. So the bus stop analogy says that you have to cross the road. You have to go over to them. And the 2 of you need to stand at the same bus stop. And you need to be able to agree the journey that you want to go on together, and you need to agree that you will board the same bus. So that's the bus stop analogy, where we start to look at really what we do in stage 4 of the boss model, which is the second S, and that's simply for solution. Because clearly, once we've understood the dynamic of the problem by looking at it from both your position, the position of the boss, that sort of third position, the fly on the wall, the dispassionate observer that we did at the bus stop analogy place, then we're ready. We have all the elements and a clear head to start looking at strategies, tactics, for remediating the various aspects of that relationship which don't seem to be working so well. So in the solutions part, we're going to examine what is it that you can directly contribute, what help others can bring, and also we'll be very, very clear that we need to adjust the solution to meet your boss's needs. Because we will have understood how that person functions at a previous stage in the model, we'll be able to devise strategies that will be tailor-made to the kind of person that your boss is, because we will have decoded his or her management style and understood how he or she functions, and in particular, therefore, how well he or she is likely to respond to a number of actions that you can possibly take. So we'll look to see how you can influence that relationship and repair it if it's strained, improve it if it's going better, or simply create it if it's not there yet. So there you have it. It's the boss model, very quickly explained. I hope though that it will show you that if you do have a challenge with your boss, it's not a dead end. It doesn't have to stay that way. We can absolutely improve it, and I would be honored to help you with that if this is something that you'd like to work on. In any event, as always, I would love to hear what you thought of this video and of the very quickly reviewed boss model. One of you is welcome, as I said, to take advantage of the free offer. It's first come, first serve. It's complimentary. There's no hidden agenda, no small print. It's just for you if that's something that you need some assistance with. So very much thank you for watching as usual. I'll see you next time for a discussion of what kind of bad bosses are there out there, and what are the consequences for you as one of their team members of having somebody who is unfortunately not the best manager that they could be. And so we'll review just 4 types, even though, like I said, I have a list of 14 in my inventory, which sometimes is a bit scary, but again, the solution is out there. So take good care, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.